Hi guys, welcome back for another video. I'm Jess and I'm one of the creative designers here at Sizzix. Today I am going to get to play with the brand new Eileen Hull collection, and I'm going to utilise a few of her amazing dies, stencils and stamps to create a couple of fun projects. So let's get started. Okay, so the first project that I want to show you guys, so I'm going to show you two in this video, and I love both of them, so you know, they're both as great as each other. I'm going to use the layered stencil in her collection, which is the colour wheel. This one is super fun, as you can probably see, and it comes with 3 stencils. So you can have one that looks like the top image here, that kind of breaks it down. There's also a die in the die set. I'll just grab that works perfectly with it as well. So if you want a different colour for the kind of separations or whatever you want to do, you can do that with that one. And then there's 2 that work together. So you can see how there's 2 that are separate, and then when they work together, they fill in the whole colour wheel. I'm going to use those 2 today. And obviously I'm going to use our trusty stencil and stamp tool. So I'm going to take some cardstock and my stencil adapter. Make sure that's on there. And they do have numbers on them, but it's not necessary for which one you use first and which one you use second. It might just help with your colour placement. So I'm going to use a couple of distress inks. Oh, I'm knocking things over. A couple of distress inks for this, but you can use whatever inks you have, whatever inks you prefer to use, you can do that with this. Now I'm going to work from the top with my red and just colour in. Now if you feel like towards the bottom you're worried that you're going to go into the next section, you can use scrap cardstock. I think I had a couple of pieces off to the side somewhere. There we go. You can either use scrap cardstock or you can use maker's tape, and you can mask out the other areas. You can kind of mask them off, or you can use kind of scrap cardstock and do it that way if you'd like. Now bear in mind you're going to have another colour after this, so there's going to be another colour in between. So just bear that in mind when you're going through the gradient of the colours, what you're going to want to leave in the gap necessarily. So say in the gap we're doing like a reddy orange, so in this one I'm going to do a true orange. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. So if that's going to be, or it could be that one's kind of a true reddy orange, and we make this one, just checking that I've got the correct colours when I'm putting them away, because I'm forever mixing up colours and lids and sponges. Let's place that on there. And I could go over the top with the yellow, and I could make that a more kind of yellowy orange if I wanted to. Now you can go all the way around if you want to, or because we are using the stencil and stamp tool system, you could even take off that one and place on number 2 and go about it that way and fill in each gap if you wanted. You can obviously use the packaging as reference as well, so you can use that, or you can kind of use your own kind of colour wheel as well online or something like that. Okay. And then bear in mind what's going to come next. So that will obviously be, say, a green. And we're just going to literally change out the sponges as we go. You know, I'm not even needing to use some of the cardstock as we get closer to the middle. It depends how confident you feel about that. but hopefully, there we go. You can see it kind of coming together. Now, obviously when you go to do your second layer, once your first layer is done or in between, you can do that as well. So I'll just do one to just show you. So we'll grab the red and the orange, and I am using the Multitool with the blending heads attachment on them. So I'm going to place a little bit of red down and then a little bit of orange. Use my little piece of cardstock, but don't worry if they kind of blend into one another at the base. And you can see how we've got a red, an orangey red, and an orange. So that is the general consensus for creating your colour wheel with these layered stencils. Nice and easy, and it's a good way to play around with colour blending, colour mixing, things like that. This would be a great way to get children involved with colours and to make sure they're learning the way that the colours mix and what creates new colours as well. So you could totally do it that way as well. So once you've done all of your colour wheel, you're going to have, oh, I think I just dropped something, but I'll find that in a second. You're going to have something that looks like that. Now you can die cut that. So using the die set that Eileen has in her collection. So this one is called Rainbow Wheels. Love that. We can actually die cut that out. So I've actually got the die over here and we can die cut that. But actually at the same time, I'm going to cut a couple of the arrows. And I'm going to cut those from white. And then what I've actually got is a die set, which I think that's the one that I've dropped. Bear with me while I find that one. I think it's down here somewhere. So I've also got a little number set that I took from one of the old Tim Holtz Vault collections. You can handwrite these numbers on though if you prefer. And I'm going to cut all of that out. So I'm going to bring in my platform. I'm hoping I can cut all of it out in one. We shall see. So I'm going to place that there. I'm going to place the circle over the top from Eileen's collection. I'm going to grab some maker's tape to keep that into position. And place that like so. Okay, then I'm going to take my numbers. So I'm going to grab some white cardstock. I think I might use the smaller and the medium arrow actually. Guess if you can, put down below if you can guess what I'm making, which you probably can at this point. But yeah, pop a little comment if you can guess at this point what we're making. And then I'm going to take the numbers. Now with the numbers, they are a little bit fiddly. You can place some adhesive sheet on the back. We don't need adhesive sheet for anything else because I'm going to have the circle colour wheel raised and I don't want to have these arrows stuck down. So I don't need the adhesive on the back of anything else, but on the numbers, it might help you out. So I'm going to place that here. And we can cut all of those out in one go, which is fantastic because we're utilising the whole area, the whole space of the machine. So we're not kind of wasting anything or wasting any time as well, which is great. So I'm just going to pop my clear plate over the top. and roll that through my machine. So now we have a lovely little colour wheel. We've got our arrows and we've got our numbers. So you can probably start to guess what we're making. Like I said, I'm going to move some of this out of the way. I'm making such a mess, guys. But when am I not making a mess in a video? And I'm going to take a kind of sharp tool, a die pick, something like that. I'm going to place a hole through the centre there. Then I'm going to bring in my trusty split pins. I'm going to take the arrows and I'm going to attach those in the centre. So I'm going to have my larger one at the back and my smaller one at the front. And you can just pop these on with the same split pin. This is why we didn't need any adhesive on the back, because we want these to move. Like so. Let's get that with the red at the top. And then you can probably guess what the numbers are for. So we're going to use these tiny little numbers. I need to sneeze. I think I needed some tweezers really. I should have grabbed some. But it's all good. And we're obviously going to use these numbers to create a little clock. And they're the perfect size. But like I said, you could draw these on if you wanted to yourself, and you just want to go the whole way around in each segment, placing your numbers where you want them until you have your completed clock, which looks like this. How cute. So we've got our full colour wheel clock with our moving hands and all of our numbers on there as well. And then what I wanted to do was place it onto a little board. Now I'm using this as kind of like teaching little ones how to tell the time and things like that. You can utilize it in whatever kind of way you want to. You could even look at getting an actual clock mechanism, a really, really small one, and seeing if you can pop that on the back. I have not tested that yet, but yeah, give that a go if you want to. So I've placed what time is it using a alphabet die set at the top. And then I'm going to stick my clock underneath. Making sure my 12 is at the top. Nice. And then what I've got that will go in this little rectangle that I've cut. I just cut that with a craft knife. I've got a piece of white card and a piece of acetate over the top, and I'm going to stick that behind. So you can literally use tape or whatever you've got. Hoping this will stick. You use glue, tape, sellotape, anything. Just make sure it's in the correct kind of place. And then when you come to place a time on your little clock, your little one or whoever you're teaching can take a whiteboard pen. I only had a red one, but you can get like little black ones from any kind of craft store or something like that. And then you can write the digital time there. And because we've done it in acetate, you can literally wipe it off and go again. How cute is that? I mean, that's so much fun. You can make multiple of them. You could have several of them to practice on, or if you're a teacher or a childminder, or like I say, you've just got a little one in your household. How adorable is that? And it's completely changeable and customizable. I think we'll get little ones really involved with being able to tell the time kind of digitally as well as analog as well. Is it analog and digital? I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time since I've been at school. So that is our first make using that gorgeous stencil colour wheel from Eileen's collection. I'm gonna clear up a little bit and we'll get into make number 2. Okay, so I've moved all of our stuff aside from when we made our clock. We're now going to make some gorgeous little sunray cards. Now I'm going to use the stamp set and the die set actually to make these. Mostly the stamp set, but these are the two that I'm going to use. So we've got the swatch cards and the rainbow wheels that I'm going to use to make these. It's a really simple but very, very cute way of using these, and you can change up the colours to whatever you kind of want as well, which is great. So I'm going to take a little bit of cardstock and I'm going to take just the colour wheel and place that on here. Pick that up, and then I'm just going to use a black waterproof ink because I am going to use water-based inks to colour this in with, but you can use whatever you want to colour in with. I just want a kind of like washy watercolour effect because I think that looks really nice for this, because we are kind of creating a sunburst or a sunray effect, so it's whatever you can, whatever effect you want. If you want it super bold, you can do that too. It's completely up to you. There's no right or wrongs here. So I think I'm nice and happy with that. So I'm just going to place that to one side. And to be fair, we can literally leave that where it is as we add our colour. So I'm going to use Distress inks to colour with. You can use whatever you want. So I've got a few kind of examples of the different colorways that you can use. So you can obviously go for a full color wheel. I might do that or start to do that on this one, but you can also use like say 3-4 colors, or you can literally use one color if you want to. And you can do it a mixture of different ways. So completely up to you. I'm going to take a little bit of water and then my inks and just place these on my Multimedia Mat in little stripes. So these are water reactive inks, and I just think they're a really nice way of adding colour to something. So you literally just take a little bit of water, move that cup out my way, and just add your colour with your paintbrush, like so. So if you start off with a nice light wash, you can blend the colours together to get the perfect colour that you want. I find that with using the Distress inks, it's very easy to do that. And if I need more of an intense colour, I'll just swipe an extra colour on. So like the orange, for example. I want just a little bit more intense. I'll go in and add that like so. And I tend to keep a few of the colours that I'm working with at the time, or even all of the colours. I could literally do the whole rainbow. I'm going to take some of that red and then go over the top. Could even use a little bit of kind of tissue or blue roll, take off the excess, and then go back in with the more intense shade. And I think this is what gives it the nice kind of dimensional watercolour effect. Literally go in, take some off, and keep adding the intensity. And like I said, just swiping extra colour on. Usually the less water you use, the more intense it's going to be. And create some really nice effects. So again, that's quite watery, so we're just going to take that off. And you can see how just layering up those colours really starts to give it a bit of dimension and a bit of life. Okay, like so. And obviously, if you went round the whole way and just kept adding your colours in whatever kind of spectrum that you want, whether it is a rainbow, whether it's just kind of warm tones, whether it's literally just yellows for sunshine, you will end up with something that looks like that. Now, this is a really quick project, to be honest, so we're almost there. The last thing is that you need a centre to your sun. So you can take the die set and you can actually take one of the smaller circles and you can cut one of these out. You can also use just a circle framelit set if you want an even smaller circle as well. And we're literally just going to stamp that. So I put away my stencil and stamp, but I'm going to need that again. So we're just going to place that there. Just like that, nice and easy. They're really like fine fonts, so they stamp really well. And what I was going to say before is, with this particular one that I'm making with the rainbow, trying to get that off now, I'm keeping mine as a whole circle, but you don't have to. So you can cut it in half, you can cut it like off to the side or whatever you want to kind of just highlight a certain area of the kind of sunburst effect. But I'm going to keep this one whole, and I'm literally going to place some card on here and layer this up. So I'm going to place a little bit of gold on there. And then I'm going to place some foam tape on the back of here, nice and easy. And I rounded some of the corners when I chopped this down as well, as you can see, just to give it a nice soft edge. You can use a corner cutter or just use some scissors if you want. It's always a chore getting off foam tape back in. There we go. Literally like so. And then you have your finished card. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. And you can see the different finishes that we've got here. So like I said, you didn't need to leave it as a whole circle. You could chop off an edge, you could just cut it completely in the center and cut into the circle that you're going to have in the center with the sentiment on there. But you can see how cute those little cards are, how adorable, super quick, super easy, and you can have a lot of fun picking and choosing the different colors as well. So we have our Sunray Burst colour wheel card, and then we obviously have our clock that we made previously with our little area so our little ones can learn to tell the time. So that is everything from me today, guys. If you've enjoyed watching, following along, and you want to check out the Eileen Hull collection, please head on over to the Sizzix website. They should all be available now for you to grab. And if you make any of these projects or you make something different with the collection, then please share your images, your projects down below and across all of our socials. We love to see it here at Sizzix and share all of your inspiration with everybody. So that is it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, but I'll see you in the next one. But until then, stay safe and keep crafting. Thanks, bye.